if you need to explain business analysis to someone who has no clue, what is it?
That's a great question because I think there's different approaches there as well. I'll maybe a little bit about my background. My original background was in organizational strategy and product development and marketing. I have from that background a very strong focus of what business analysis means to me. Business analysis for me, and this is not the formal definition of any of these organizations, by the way, just to confuse you a little bit, here's a logo of all the different, all the different organizations that claim to do something with business analysis. For me, business analysis is looking at potential challenges and opportunities with an organization, analyzing them, figuring out what the problem solution is, so kind of turning a problem into a potential opportunity. That's what business analysis is. Also, in respect to the valuation, one of the principles behind business analysis is this concept that's also part of the PMI, PMP, this value generation. Are we selecting the right products, ergo also right projects that make strategic and financial sense?
So BA, business analysis, is undertaken and done before we start projects, right?
There's a business analysis. The great thing about business analysis is, and for you project managers out there, a lot of you have maybe suffered under the predicament that you weren't involved in initiation, and there's something that happens before initiation. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of discussions that are going on before projects. What are our problems? Are we analyzing our problems? What's the cause and effect? What's the overall market situation? And that's where business analysis creates a liaison between the line operation and future project management implementation.
Just a quick question in
Sure.
between. So is it necessary to say, right, we do have a problem and want to get it solved? Or is it also part of, I do have a strategy, I want to have the strategy implemented? Or third one, is it also could be very innovative to say, right, we do have products and services currently running. Mm-hmm. What other problems users do have, what they do not know that they have it, and how can we solve it?
Yes. So from my perspective, yes. Although I will say this, if you look at classic understanding of some of the BABOK and the PMI guide for business analysis, they do spend some time on it. But if you talk to a lot of business analysts, I think there's many different functions during the life cycle of business analysts, and I think a lot of them see themselves as requirement engineers. Okay. Which is also an issue in projects, especially if you're talking about agile and you have to develop requirements as you go, or when you deep dive into your projects and you realize that we have a vision and a mission of what we want to achieve in a project, but we don't have a clear understanding of what are the acceptance criteria, the requirements that are expected of the different features that we're going into. So I would say that a lot of business analysts that I meet on the free market are not involved at all in the strategic consideration. They're not really that savvy when it comes to financial management, but they're great UATs, so they're great for user acceptance tests. They're great for engineering requirements. Okay. They kind of do the handover process, which I think is really, really important. Mm-hmm. But strangely enough, that's not my primary focus when I look at business analysis. For me, business analysis is a process that kind of creates a bridge between the line organization, project organizations, and the overall concept of OPM, operational project management. Also, do we have a strategy of what we're doing? It kind of also ties into portfolio management, that whole concept of what is the valuation. Okay.
So it's kind of more question, are we doing the right things basically in the organization?
Yeah.
Okay. So you said now business analysis is like this bridge and the link between strategy, between innovation, between processes, between
From my perspective, that's what it should be. It is not always practiced that way.
So is it a full-time person just running around the organization and asking everyone, are we doing the right things? Or is it a add-on role for a portfolio manager? Or Or maybe you can give us a practical example of an organization, what business analysis is, and who is actually taking care of that.
That's a fair question and a difficult one to answer. If you Google how many business analysts there are that are certified, you get one statistic that says there's about 30,000 of them. And then if you look at what branches they're predominantly exist in, you'll find them a lot in banking. You'll find them partly in pharmaceuticals. You'll find them pretty much predominantly in that area. I think one of the reasons why the banking industry is a big fan of business analysis, because banking has to do with valuation in the sense of making money. So it's an add-on. But to answer your question specifically, the companies that I know that have the functional role of business analysts, those are full-time people.
Okay.
And there's different constellations that you can find in one organization that I just came across recently. It's a typical staff organization, right? You have I think they have 3 or 4 very professional ladies who are have a great attention to detail and kind of create the liaison between all the different players in the execution and the executive team. And they're kind of a staff position to the executive, and they basically report to them.
Okay.
Funny enough, although these ladies are wonderful, they're highly dedicated, they're full-time job, they do great reporting. If you look at the potential, if you look at the long list of things that business analysts could or should do, they only do a certain percentage of it.
Okay.
Because
so they're more in the role of an in-house consultancy and not decision making.
I think they're more in a reporting role than in a consulting role.
Okay.
In the workshop that I worked with them, I kind of tried to expand it, and they were surprised by what is the full potential of the role. So they already have a high level of maturity in the functions that they do, but they didn't realize that business analysis is much more than that. And I think that's also a question that executives have to ask. Look, business analysts, like many of these staff positions, like change managers, excellence managers, quality assurance managers, also sometimes portfolio managers, these are these strange new roles for a lot of people that they need to wrap their brain around. They don't have a classical line function. They don't have the same political pull. They don't have the same resources. They don't have the same facility. They don't have the same budget. But somehow they work magic in the background. They belong to what I call the gray workforce. Okay. This group of people that create value in an organization, but nobody really consciously knows what the heck